In this video, I want to introduce you to the concepts of focus and self-discipline and explain why they are so important in today's world. The best way that we know of to define focus is the ability to be completely engaged when doing one thing at a time, with all your attention and all your concentration. And in the modern world, this is unfortunately something of a lost skill. There is a modern day problem where people have a lack of focus and a very big lack of self-discipline. Tan and I jokingly call it the modern day epidemic. Very simply put, human beings are not wired for the world we currently live in. As a way of explaining this, I want to give you something of an interesting thought experiment. Think about how the world as we know it today will look to your dog or your cat. Now, from the perspective of one of our pets, they simply cannot fathom the world going on around them. Everything they see, everything they smell, everything they touch is beyond their understanding and ability to control. And what happens as a result of that? Well, the result is that most domesticated pets just sleep, eat, go through bodily functions, and then they chase the shiny objects every single day. And for the most part, without human intervention to feed them or to give them shelter, they have a really hard time surviving in the modern world. Now, take a step back and think about it from our perspective. Every single year, if not every couple of months, we're seeing this ongoing innovation and release of new technologies and new ways of doing things. And this is a really good thing. But our brains haven't evolved or weren't created for this much stimuli and for all these things that affect our neurochemistry. The thing that really drove this point home for me was when I read a study where they found that sending an email actually gives our brains a dopamine hit. And yes, that is absolutely true. However you want to think about innovation, or whether you believe in evolution or a higher power, I'm pretty sure that God or the evolutionary process did not intend for our brains to get a mild buzz every single time we looked at and replied to an email. That just makes no sense whatsoever. Now, what has happened as a result of this is we have this mass drain of focus and self-discipline in today's society. Focus is basically the hallmark of human development and industry, and self-discipline is our mark of sentience and is our supposed separation above the other animals on this planet. And these things are disappearing at a very quick rate because of all this technology, and because we are interacting now with things that 20 or 30 years ago would have been considered science fiction. The evidence for this is everywhere we look. I live in Asia, in a pretty densely populated city, and every time I walk into an elevator, someone is checking their phone, checking texts, checking instant messages, checking email, or just reading something on their smartphone. This is really common, almost without fail. And in your own life, just think about the number of times you see people check a social media feed daily, or the number of times people simply pull out their phone to take a photo and upload it to Facebook. And in the discussions that Tan and I have had with business owners, whether it's entrepreneurs, small business owners, or even executives in big companies, almost every single one of them has considered at some point confiscating their employees' smartphones during work hours, because people simply do not know how to control themselves when it comes to all this new technology, and especially the technology that's addictive. And to take it one step further, it's become socially acceptable to be easily distracted because you got a new Facebook notification, or to just quickly check something on your phone while you're in an important meeting. Something that really highlighted the current state of things to me was when I watched this TV series called The Men Who Built America. I believe it was on the History Channel. Now, ironically, the show is dumbed down, really repetitive, and designed for today's audience, who can't seem to concentrate for more than 5 minutes. But the show is about the lives of the men who built up industry in America in the 19th century. And it talks about their business, what they did, and how they changed the shape of the United States as we know it today. And I was talking to one of my friends about this, and what was really interesting to us was when we thought about the sort of things that these men could actually do on a daily basis. So they could work, which they obviously did. They could do chores. They could read if they had access to books, and maybe they could sort of travel. We definitely know what they couldn't do. They couldn't check email. They couldn't check Facebook. They couldn't distract themselves with 6 hours of television every day. And they couldn't spend hours and hours of their time browsing the web endlessly, absorbing information that really doesn't matter. And the question that my friend asked was, do we really think that Rockefeller, Carnegie, and all these other titans of industry could have helped bring America to where it is today if they had spent all their time updating their social media feeds? My guess is probably not. So this is a lot of doom and gloom, but I do want to make it clear that this will that this is a problem that will affect you personally at some point if it hasn't already done so. As a species, humanity can't be expected to solve all its problems if a large majority of the population is spending its entire day updating its Facebook status and checking email. If that wasn't enough to convince you why focus and self-discipline are really important, and to motivate you a bit to really apply this module, let's go into it a bit more. Focus and self-discipline are what have made humanity develop to where it is, and they are the two things that will help us continue onwards as a species. They form the foundation for our ability to marshal tools and resources to shape the world around us, to suit us better. And if we lose focus, we essentially lose the will to develop, and we also lose the ability to push ourselves. So focus and self-discipline are very, very important. On a more selfish level, focus and self-discipline are important to you, because even though more and more of our population every day succumbs to this lack of discipline, this scattered brain effect, there are always going to be those people who get their act together and who move forward with their lives. And if you're watching this program, you are one of those people. And a good question to ask yourself is, do you want to be one of those people who has their stuff together, who moves forward, who does the things that they're supposed to do, and who helps bring humanity into whatever its next stage of development is? Or do you want to get left behind and get swept up by the technological and social changes and reach a point where you stop understanding the world around you? And it's not just our opinion. There have been a lot of psychological studies done about focus and self-discipline. Two in particular are really important to us. One is a class taught by Stanford University psychologist Kelly McGonigal on willpower. And she actually wrote a book called The Willpower Instinct. And in it, she explores this concept of willpower and why it's important in our lives. She also points out that according to the APA, the American Psychological Association, a lot of Americans are pretty conscious of the fact that the number one reason they struggle to reach their goals is because they lack willpower. Because they don't take care of it, they don't renew it, and they don't understand how it relates to focus and self-discipline. Another study that we found interesting was a joint study done between the University of Pennsylvania, University of Michigan, and West Point, the US Military Academy. And what we call self-discipline, they call grit, or perseverance towards achieving long-term goals. And what they found was that grit was the number one success measure above beyond just IQ and good old hard work. And more importantly, they suggest that grit and willpower are the keys to achieving difficult goals over the long term. So self-discipline and focus are very, very important for your long term. And as a bit of a teaser as to what you're about to learn in this module, I'll say that cultivating willpower, focus, and self-discipline basically comes down to beating our biological impulses. We need to start recognizing the things that we do in the modern day that give us neurochemical hits, whether it's updating our Facebook, checking our social media feeds, or replying to an email that really isn't important. And we need to realize that these things are rapidly becoming addictions and instant gratification feedback loops. And we need to break free of them and go beyond them. So we need to find the dopamine addictions that happen because of all this marvelous technology that we have and get rid of them. So whether that's email, or social media, whether it's internet pornography, whether it's simply eating bad food with all the processed foods we have nowadays. Now, we talked about evolution and how the human body is wired. So in the past, indulging in food or in sex or anything else that triggered a dopamine hit in our brains was a really good thing. It meant we ate enough to live another day and we reproduced, better furthering humanity. But I don't think email falls under that category of things that further humanity all the time. So today, these are not good things. There is absolutely no furthering humanity going on by posting photos online or getting likes from random people on our status updates. Our social media standing has absolutely zero correlation with the real-world pecking order in terms of our value as human beings or our standing in society. And what we need to do is we need to recognize this, and we need to get control of it, and we need to find a balance because technology is a convenience in our lives, and under no circumstances are we telling you to abandon it. We just have to learn how to use technology properly. We have to get our own focus and self-discipline back under our control.